You know, I remember back when nobody was an expert on tariffs. Now everybody is. What's up? Well, that's not true. Everybody except Caitlin Collins from CNN. Man, that woman, holy cow, she doesn't know anything about tariffs. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and it is the day after Liberation Day. It's Liberation Day +1. And I got to tell you, they always say it's always darkest before the dawn, and they always say there's always, corrections, and people are still trying to get on board. And all of that is true. Look, Rome wasn't built in a day. And these tariffs are not going to rebuild the United States of America overnight. However, they will rebuild the United States of America. And you should feel, if you don't feel like you won the lottery, man, you should feel like you won the lottery. If you aren't looking around at all the angst and anger coming out of the Democrat Party and the fake news media and all of our foreign allies, quote unquote, if you don't look around and say, man, why are these people all so angry? Anger from the left, and this is years ago when I wrote the Kayetriot Manifesto, when Kayetriotism first came into popularity, when we started the show. Even this was long before I broadcast from Kayetriot HQ at Mar-a-Lago. But when we first announced the Kayetriot Manifesto, one of the key components of the Kayetriot Manifesto is if the left is happy, you shouldn't be. If the left is happy, you shouldn't be. If you ever see Democrats celebrating anything whatsoever, if you ever see the left and they're just like, oh, they're just so excited about something, then you yourself should not be happy. And that is something that remains true today. And of course, the inverse, the opposite of that is also true, meaning that if the left is miserable, then you can rejoice. And the left is miserable, which means good things are coming because those people, they hate all good things, especially all good things created by President Donald Trump and his agenda. So what we've got with these tariffs now is we've got a situation where President Donald Trump is positioning the United States of America to become an economic global superpower once again. And you can tell because all of the other people that have wanted to be economic global superpowers are angry about it. And yesterday in the Rose Garden, President Donald Trump came out and he did his Trumpian thing. He brought out a chart, which he loves charts. I mean, if a chart saved your life the way Donald Trump's life was saved by a chart, you would love charts too. If a chart saved your life, you'd be like, bring me charts every single day. And yesterday in the Rose Garden, I mean, it was safe. There's Secret Service all over. Everyone there has been vetted. Most of the people there were Republicans or auto workers and that kind of thing. But he comes out, he rolls out the chart, the tariff chart, and he starts rolling through the tariffs.
So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing.
By the way, those big charts and Joe Biden have a lot in common that way. No chance of standing. Also Mitch McConnell, which we'll get to here in just a minute.
Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset?
How can anyone be upset? How can he be upset? China's charging us a 67% tariff, and Donald Trump's saying that we're going to charge less than that. We're going to charge them, was it 34%? That's less. That's okay. That's about half. A little more than half is what Donald Trump's charging. And all I hear today from the left, all I hear from the lunatics in the liberal caucus, all I hear from the media, all I hear from these so-called self-proclaimed new tariff experts is that chart is inaccurate. China's not charging us 64%, 68%. That's not 67%. That's not accurate. That's not accurate at all. Well, what Donald Trump said was not, and if you look at the chart closely, it's not just tariffs. It's currency manipulation. It's unfair trade. It's dollar, manipulation. All of these things that China. It's a combo package of bad things that China is doing to try to economically damage and destroy the United States of America. It's warfare out there. Howard Lutnick said it best. And Howard Lutnick he's the Commerce Secretary. And that's the other thing too. I see people go, Howard Lutnick will be the fall guy when the tariffs fail. The tariffs aren't going to fail. But he put it best. He said this has been a coordinated effort by everybody in the world. It's been a coordinated effort to steal our jobs and manufacturing.
So what's happened to the world is the global governments have backed taking our factories away from us. I mean, there's nothing about Taiwan that they should be making semiconductors. There's nothing about Korea. They should be making all of the appliances and the electronics of the world. What's happened is they had a policy of their governments to let's back our companies and let's take this business from America while America's not paying attention. So our factories went overseas. But what you're going to see is the most modern factories of the world come back here. We are going to start on one of the great training programs of the world to teach our employees what tradecraft is, you know, how to build factories, and not the old kind of factories. I'm talking the most modern, the most high-tech factories. When you say HVAC, what we're talking about is cooling a high-tech semiconductor plant, probably one of the coolest jobs you can have, right? Mechanics, fixing robotics. That's what's coming to America. The coolest factories, the highest tech factories, they're all coming home, and Donald Trump is bringing them home, and he's going to create a renaissance of high-tech manufacturing in America. That's why America's going to win.
This has been a global bullying. This has been the rest of the world has been trying to stone America to death. They've been barnacles on the butt of our massive commercial shipping vessel. I don't know. But what they're doing is they're basically parasites. They're coming in and they're stealing one by one our factories, one by one our jobs. And Howard Lutnick's right. There's nothing special about Korea. Sorry, folks. Truth is, there's nothing special about that country that they deserve to get all of the appliance manufacturing and make all of our TVs and a lot of our cars. There's nothing special about Taiwan that they should be the hub. They should be the center of manufacturing for these computer chips. We used to be the center of manufacturing for the computer chips until they were wooed away, and until not just were they wooed away, but the Democrats and Joe Biden and the rest of them, they allowed them to be stolen from the United States of America. It's a global war on the American economy, and every other country is in on it. Pardon me while I close my email. Every other country is in on it. There's 3 countries in this world. Take out the United States of America, everybody else against us, even Israel. That was shocking to me. Israel the other day was like, we will drop our tariffs on the United States of America. And I was like, why do you have tariffs on the United States of America? We built you an Iron Dome. We're going to take over Gaza and rebuild it into the beautiful, the beautiful Mediterranean of the Middle East, whatever you call it. We're going to do this amazing thing for you. We've had your back this whole time and you're still tariffing us? Israel. Anyway, so but it's happening. It's working. And now all of the globalists, all of these people, all of our enemies, everybody who's been taking advantage of us realize they cannot take advantage of us anymore. They cannot continue. They're going to have to get in line. They're going to have to pay up, shut up, or bring their wares to the United States of America if they want to avoid these tariffs.
The United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first. And I'm sorry to say that.
Why would you be? I don't understand why you said I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say we're going to take. No, be proud. Be happy, be thrilled. That's what the people want. That's what all those people out there, the construction workers, the auto workers, the guys that he brought out there in the yellow or the green, safety green vests and the hard hats. And I love that they're wearing their hard hats in the Rose Garden. That made me super happy. I thought that was really cool. And then you got Donald Trump, and he's talking to Congress and whatnot, but don't be sorry about it. Be happy that you're bringing jobs back to the United States of America. And you know what I say to the rest of the people who are complaining? Screw them. They didn't think about us when they were picking our pockets. They didn't think about us when they were looting our warehouse. They didn't think about us when they were stealing our jobs. They didn't think about us when we were winning wars on their behalf with munitions that we bought and paid for. They never think about us. They take from the United States of America, and you know what they do? They continue to badmouth us. Not only are they taking our money, but they are disrespecting us publicly. And Donald Trump is like, this isn't going to, listen, this isn't going to happen anymore. You can complain all you want, but these tariffs aren't going anywhere either. That's the thing. I saw today, where is it? Chuck Schumer, that guy. Oh my God. I don't understand how Chuck Schumer still has a job. I thought AOC was supposed to run him out on a rail. I thought the Democrats were looking for new leadership, but Chuck Schumer supposedly is all up in our, let me pull up this X post real quick from Chuck Schumer, because this guy is just a piece of work. Where is it? I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong Chuck Schumer account. He has multiple. I want the Senator Schumer. I don't really want any of them, but here he is. So he wrote about Donald Trump's tariffs. He demanded that the House of Representatives come back into session because he wants, hang on. I had it here a minute. Speaker Johnson. He wants Speaker Johnson to bring everybody back so that they can fight the tariffs the way that they did in the Senate. He wants everybody back. Republicans, here it is. Let me, Liberation Day. He's going on and on and on. Anyway, he's basically saying, I demand that the House of Representatives come back in session. We will vote on a resolution to slow down this trade war now. Today, Donald Trump will take a sledgehammer to the American economy and the American dream. With the flick of a pen, he's set to unleash a reckless tsunami of tariffs. Then he goes on to lie about how the American families will be paying this, that, and the other. Today, the Senate has a chance to slow this trade war down. We will vote on a resolution from Tim Kaine, Amy Klobuchar, and Mark Warner to end Donald Trump's trade war with Canada. And true, they did do that. And guess what happened? Republicans voted with the Democrats. And this always happens. And this is why I hate the Republican Party so much. I love the Republican Party because they're not the Democrat Party, but I hate the Republican Party because they're the Republican Party. 4 Republicans sided with the Democrats. And I kid you not, the term voted with the Democrats needs to be deleted from the Republicans' vernacular. You're not going to win by jumping over the battle line and fighting with the enemy. And the Democrats are the enemy. Senate Republicans buck Trump, join Dems in rejecting Canada tariffs. GOP lawmakers rejected a pressure campaign from the Trump administration to adhere to party loyalty on Liberation Day. The Republican-led Senate has delivered a rare rebuke of President Donald Trump and his signature trade agenda. Senators voted 51-48 Wednesday to reject the national emergency Trump declared earlier this year to justify his plan to slap 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. The vote took place hours after Trump delivered remarks from the White House rolling out his latest plans to slap new tariffs on a wide range of products. Republicans, Senators Susan Collins, she ain't no Republican, Mitch McConnell, ain't no Republican, Lisa Murkowski, ain't no Republican, and Rand Paul, who is basically a libertarian, joined all Democrats in backing a resolution from Virginia Democrat Senator Tim Kaine that would end that national emergency. Paul of Kentucky co-sponsored the measure. Now, the reason why this is so egregious, the reason why this is so bad is How are you feeling? I want to show you this video. This is horrible. This is Mitch McConnell. All right. Mitch McConnell, as you know, he took a fall. He took a spill. His brain hasn't been working the way it's supposed to. Mitch McConnell, you may remember, started buffering in that press conference, then again at a campaign event. And ever since then, there's been questions about his mental acuity. Why is it that he just stops and freezes? Is he having a mini stroke? Does he even know where he is? Is his computer chip, does he need to be, Control Alt Delete? What's going on with Mitch McConnell? Then he took that fall. He's in a wheelchair still, but he had to vote. And unlike Anna Paulina Luna, he wants to show up to vote, and he knows he has to show up to vote, and he wanted to thwart President Donald Trump so badly. He wanted to send a message to President Donald Trump on this tariff issue that he got his butt dressed in a suit, plopped down in a wheelchair, and was wheeled into Congress, wheeled into the Senate chamber, just so he could vote against President Donald Trump's tariff emergency on Canada, and then got his butt wheeled back out to go back home.
How are you feeling, Leader McConnell?
By the way, I don't think it's that he can't answer or won't answer the question. I think it's that he can't answer the question. I don't think he doesn't want to answer the question. I don't think he's ignoring this reporter. I think he's just not physically able to make the words. He's probably thinking, I'm in a wheelchair and I can't move my leg and Trump's president. How would you feel? But he just can't verbalize any of that. And look, there's like 4 guys around. There's like 4 guys there.
How are you feeling, Leader McConnell?
He's not going to answer. He can barely hear you. There's security. There's like a nurse getting him into the back of the SUV. This poor Senate aide. I feel bad for this guy in the blazer with the gray pants. This guy, all he wanted to do was go to Washington. There he is. All he wanted to do was go to Washington, D.C., get a job in the Senate, maybe start a career. This guy's probably a lawyer. He probably went to some prestigious law school or some prestigious undergrad university, maybe an Ivy League. He was all excited when he got his job. He got his pay. He got assigned to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's office. And then all of a sudden, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is no longer Senate Majority Leader. And then Mitch McConnell's freezing and falling. And now this guy who thought he was going to be in charge of helping craft legislation is the wheelchaired guy. This is the wheelchair dude. This dude's job is to fold up the wheelchair and put it in the back of the, what is that, Jeep Grand Cherokee? That's his job. He does it. That's it. He wheels them around. He's wheelchair guy. That guy thought he was like, I'm going. He called his mom. He's all excited. He's like, I'm going to Washington, D.C. I'm going to work for Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, the majority leader in the Senate. And it turns out instead of being some kind of high profile Senate aide, he's just a candy striper. I wonder if he wipes his chin or if they probably got somebody else. From the drool. I just want because old people, they like you put the pudding in and the gel and it's drool. Wipe my thing. I mean, you could think about that. Think about how much did that guy pay for his education? $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year, depending on where he went. And he's going to be paying student loans off forever, and his job is to fold up the wheelchair. You gotta be careful who you work for. Incidentally, if you come and work in the congressional office of Representative Mark Kaye from Florida's 5th Congressional District, you won't have to push me around in a wheelchair. Because if, God forbid, I fall or I'm unable to walk, I will get an electric wheelchair and I will get it supercharged. Or I'll get one of those little scooters. I'll get I like a little electric scooter. I'll figure out something. I'll call Elon Musk. I'll get some high-tech stuff. I'll get a robot. I'll get one of those robots. What are those robots called? Those Tesla robots? They're called, I don't know. Kim Kardashian has one. I'll get one of those. I would be on the phone so fast going, Elon, look, I got a great idea for you. I'm going to be in Congress. I broke my leg. I don't want to have an aide pushing me around. Can you send me one of those Kim Kardashian robots to push me around Congress? Yeah, no, all around DC. I'll talk to the press every single day. Think about the publicity. I know, right? Yeah. If ever that happens to me, that's going to be my plan, is to get an Elon Musk robot to push me around the Capitol building, because I refuse to let some Ivy League educated Harvard grad fold up my wheelchair. Probably, I'll be honest with you too. I don't see a lot of my staff I see my congressional staff being comprised of, maybe Florida grads, FSU, couple Seminoles in there, maybe just some people that, nothing further than high school, because let's face it, I know what I want to say. I know what I want to do. I just need somebody who can, work an iPhone and tweet for me when I'm in a committee meeting. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Mitch McConnell and 3 other Senate Republicans, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, they all band together and they destroy Donald Trump's tariffs in the Senate. Now, don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere in the House of Representatives, and Donald Trump would never do anything to backtrack on his own Canadian tariffs. But they're sending a message on a day that's supposed to be a day of celebration and jubilation. It's supposed to be a day of celebration and jubilation because Donald Trump has liberated us from these horrible economic policies. And Rand Paul, who again, look, he's a libertarian. I get it. Libertarians are 100% for free trade, but free trade doesn't exist. And it won't. It's sometimes to get to free trade, you need the tariff. Sometimes to get to an equal footing, you need to be unequal. I mean, we're not equal right now. We've been taken advantage of. And I don't know. I don't understand what Rand Paul's problem is because, well, here, I'll let him try to explain to you why he voted against President Donald Trump and his declaration of an emergency with Canada.
Is tyranny, bellowed James.
Oh, he's quoting.
Taxation without representation is tyranny, bellowed James Otis. In the days and weeks and years leading up to the American Revolution, this became the rallying cry of American patriots. No taxation without representation. The American patriots thought that a distant parliament in England, where they had no representation, had no right to tax them.
Okay, I don't know what we got it. We got the history lesson. Let's see where we are now.
Year tradition from Magna Carta on.
Oh no, we're still backtracking.
Not want to pay taxes that weren't approved by the parliament.
Okay, what, dude? I mean, is he filibustering? Is he going after the record? What's happening?
About having all the power gravitate to the executive, that they said we must split the powers.
There it is.
They based a lot of their thinkings on Montesquieu. Montesquieu wrote in the 1740s, 50 years before our Constitution, Montesquieu wrote that when the legislative and executive powers are united in one, there can be no liberty.
So anyway, that's Rand Paul going back. He's been in the library. You got to give him credit. He's got Otis quotes and Montesquieu quotes, and he's checking out the Federalist Papers, no doubt. But the fact of the matter is, look, I'm all about free trade. I'm all about the government not interfering in capitalism. God knows I'm a capitalist. Anyone who came to my Dollars for Followers class on Wednesday, anybody who's part of my GAIN community, they all know. We are capitalists here in the United States of America, and capitalism requires non-government intervention. But in order to get to a free and fair society, a capitalist society where there is free trade, you sometimes need to put some kind of pressure on the other countries, because then there's no free trade. There's no fair example, or there's no fair treatment of any American consumers or American creators. And as an American creator, that's something that I'm okay with. Rand Paul, however, is not. Also, he got like a 30-minute floor speech in there, so he was pretty thrilled. He was pretty thrilled about that too. But this whole thing, man, Donald Trump's not playing around. Don't think for a minute that he's going to let you believe any of the complaints that are coming. And like I said, there's complaints from everyone.
In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. It's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years.
Yeah, so the reckoning is here. There's a reckoning. Here's what's I reckon that there's a reckoning. Donald Trump is saying you can't do this anymore. We're not going to do it anymore. And I don't blame you. And this is the interesting thing about Donald Trump. This is what makes him such a keen negotiator, is he understands both sides of it. It goes all the way back to, and I'm not going to play the clip because I'll get a copyright violation, but it goes all the way back to the comedian. Oh, what's his? I always forget his name. And he was on Saturday Night Live, and you know the guy I'm talking. What's his name? I saw him when he was just up and coming. I'm horrible. I'm blanking. But anyway, he was on Saturday Night Live and he says, look, I understand why Donald Trump is so popular. Dave Chappelle, thank you. Dave Chappelle was on Saturday Night Live and he goes, Donald Trump said to Hillary Clinton, I know that there are IRS loopholes and tax loopholes because I use them. I use them to get ahead. I know the system's broken because I take advantage of it, and that's why I'm rich. And you do it too. And the people that donate to your campaign do it too. That's how I know that this system is corrupt. Because I use it for my advantage. And Donald Trump's saying the same things now to the foreign leaders. He's going, look, I don't blame you for taking advantage of weak leadership. Joe Biden let you do it. You walked all over him. He lay down on the ground. Some would say he fell or tripped on a sandbag if you're talking about the Air Force commencement ceremony. But Joe Biden lay down on the ground and let you just stomp up and down all over him. Joe Biden was the guy that said, charge us whatever you want, steal our jobs, take our manufacturing, treat us like you're Scut Farkus and we're Ralphie from A Christmas Story. But just know, eventually one day, we're not going to take it anymore. And we're going to run and jump on you and beat you to a pulp, and our glasses are going to break, and our mom's going to come running, and that's it. And you will not be Scut Farkus the bully anymore. And we're not going to be scared. You're not gonna take advantage of us forever, and that day is now. But he says, I don't blame them because, look, I would do the same gosh darn thing if I blame Joe Biden. And that is exactly why Donald Trump is going to win in the end. And that's why these tariffs are going to win. And that's why these tariffs are winning. And everybody knows it, except Caitlin Collins from CNN. Caitlin Collins, I don't know why they give her these high profile interviews. She should stick to, and again, yes, when it's, I don't know, when it's men and women's sports or something like that, maybe she can handle that. Or when it's Donald Trump riding around in a garbage truck or at McDonald's, maybe she can handle that. But she can't handle economic information. She can't handle numbers and tariff talk. She doesn't understand. You can tell. She just gets so lost so quickly. Scott Bessent, who's the Secretary of Treasury, is talking to, I love this clip so much. He's talking to her and he's explaining to her how tariffs are not just constitutional and effective, but they are also historically, that's something historically we've been doing since before the Constitution.
Go back all the way to Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton used them to raise revenue. He used them to protect industry. And President Trump has added the third leg of the stool, which is strategic. So, if we are thinking about a 10% global tariff, and let's assume that we import about $3 trillion a year, so that's $300 billion, and that's a substantial revenue raiser that could then be used for working Americans on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and for those buying autos, they can reduce their bills because interest on American-made cars will be tax deductible. So this is really a working class, the tariff and tax plan.
I know that if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see the look on her expression, so I'll just explain it to you. She's staring at Scott Bessent the entire time, the way I stare at people when they start talking about hair care tips and products. Like if there's dudes and they're talking about like what gel they put in their hair or what mousse or what, I don't even know what they're doing. I'm just like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I have nothing to contribute to this conversation. You're all just talking Greek to me. That's how she's looking at him. Like she has literally zero clue. He could be speaking a foreign language. In fact, I think to her, he is. And it didn't stop there. Then they put her back in the studio. They said, quick, get her out of there. Get her away. They put her back in the studio and they brought in Bernie Moreno, senator from Ohio. And Bernie Moreno starts talking about the car prices, which he's trying to dumb it down for her, but she's still totally lost and has no clue what's going on.
We need cars made here in America that are sold here in America. It's extremely important that happens to rebuild our middle class, rebuild our industrial sector, rebuild cities like the ones I represent in Ohio. And of course, eventually you need customers. And if we keep gutting out our middle class, who are we going to sell these cars to? Henry Ford taught us that. Pay your workers well, and they can buy the very products that they make.
Yeah, pay your workers well, and they can buy the very products that they make. And of course, what happens is Caitlin Collins goes, well, that should make sense, but Trump is bad, so let me try to trip you up, Bernie Moreno, which of course you should never get into a battle of wits if you don't show up armed for the fight. And that's exactly what Caitlin Collins does whenever she steps onto the set.
Because obviously a lot of the cars, even ones made here, have parts that come from other places.
Well, remember, the cars that are made final assembly in the U.S. and get parts from Mexico and Canada, those cars, if they're USMCA compliant, they don't get any tariffs. So they're completely tariff-free. So that's a big population of vehicles. The only ones that are mostly hurt are the cars that are made overseas exclusively and are shipped into the United States. The ultra luxury cars, I think the Democrats should rally around this tariff, because let's face it, if you're tariffing a guy who buys a Bugatti for $4 million, it's a tax on the very, very wealthy. You'd think Chuck Schumer should be applauding that, right?
She has no idea what a Bugatti is, by the way, and she also doesn't understand. And he's right about that. Chuck, the tax and the tariffs are not going to the people that are buying Fords, because number one, Ford just announced they're dropping the price of all their cars for Americans. All Americans will be paying employee pricing if you want to go out and buy a Ford. That's great. What he's talking about are the luxury vehicles, the vehicles that are built in Italy, the vehicles that are built in Germany and Bavaria. All those, the BMWs, the Mercedes Benzes, the Bugattis, the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris. If you even buy like a Bentley or an Aston Martin, if you're shelling out more than $200,000-300,000 grand for a car, and definitely for $1 million, then yeah, you're going to pay more because of these tariffs. But fun fact, if you're paying $1 million for a car, you don't care what the price is.
Your experience running a dealership and you've got this inventory, are you going to make those prices go up because you've only got 90 days of inventory and then you're not really sure what that's going to look like in terms of a lot of those cars that are made in other countries? You're not sure. I mean, you can't just that quickly make all of those in the United States. So you're going to run out of cars.
Well, again, two different worlds. The luxury car world, somebody's buying that $200,000 car, that $500,000 car. There's a lot of price elasticity. The person who's buying a $500,000 car, if it's a little bit more expensive, they don't care. And like I said, it's an ultimate tax on rich people. You're talking about the mainstream cars, a Honda, a Toyota, a Subaru, a Ford, a Chevy. If one car goes up in price because there's a tariff, that person will just buy the other one that doesn't have a tariff, which is your American-made automobile. And places like Ohio benefit because your neighbor is employed as a result of that car being made in the United States.
She just doesn't understand. She's totally clueless. She doesn't get it. She thought that she had him in a gotcha moment. She's like, we're going to run out of cars if everybody buys an American. Like, also, that's not a bad thing. If you sell out, if the United States of America managed in some way, shape, or form to sell every single car in America, and we had to hang up a sign that said, sorry, folks, no cars left, that's not a bad thing. It's a real good thing because it means there's a lot of money flowing into our economy. It means a lot of Americans are getting hired. It means a lot of taxes are being paid. It means a lot of neighbors, like he just pointed out, are going to be rolling in it. If you own a car dealership and you have no cars on the lot, you're not sad. You're happy. The unhappiest person in the world is a car dealer with a full lot. The happiest one in the world is a car dealer who looks like he's standing in a parking lot on a Sunday morning, hours before the football game. That's what you want. You want an empty lot. But it's not going to happen anyway. We're not going to sell out all the cars, and we're always making new ones. And he's saying, look, not everybody, if you're in the market for, let's go back to the Bugatti. If you want a Bugatti, or if you want a Rolls Royce, or if you want a Ferrari, you're not going to go, ooh, these tariffs have made that very expensive sports car even more expensive. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to go buy a Ford instead. That's not what's happening. If you are rich enough to afford a Ferrari, you call up and say, I would like the Ferrari. And they say, here's the price. And you say, okay, I'll wire you the money. You don't say, what? Are you kidding me? I was just you know what? I test drove a Chrysler yesterday. Their prices are going down. That's it. Take your Testarossa and shove it where the sun don't shine, Luigi. I'm going down the street and I'm going to go buy a Jeep. I'm going to buy a Grand Cherokee instead, or a Wrangler. You can keep your foreign sport. That's not how it works. Those people are going to buy their cars no matter what the price. And Americans are going to, regular, everyday, ordinary Americans like you, like me, we're going to choose American vehicles over the foreign vehicles because of these tariffs, and America will win. And Caitlin Collins doesn't understand that.
It's like Trump is stuck in the 80s.
Excuse me. Also, Tim Walz doesn't understand either. Tim Walz is trying to explain to America. This guy, I don't get it. I don't get the whole Tim Walz thing for the Democrats. Tim Walz is trying to make the case to America that Donald Trump doesn't understand business, and he does.
It's like Trump is stuck in the 80s. His music, his clothing, his thinking. He has been on this tariff thing forever, and every economist, conservative or liberal, will tell you they just simply don't work. We use them strategically, but he doesn't fundamentally understand how trade works. It goes back to what I continue to say. I think the biggest myth perpetuated on this country is that Donald Trump understands anything about business. He's bankrupt every single one he's been into, and now he's bankrupting this country. So I appreciate you talking about this. This is a tax on working people that we've not seen in any of our lifetimes, and it is going to have dramatic effect.
There's a couple scary things about this. First of all, why are the Democrats pushing so hard on Tim Walz? Does that mean that they have future plans for him? I mean, it's not just mind-numbing what he's saying, the idiocy that's coming out of his mouth. To me, it's mind-numbing that the Democrats still feel like this is a viable option for them. This is the person they want speaking for them. Tampon Tim, who has no idea how to fire a shotgun, yet he apparently comes from Minnesota and duck hunts. Tampon Tim, who was so flamboyantly awkward at all of these Kamala Harris rallies that we weren't really sure which one was the woman running for president and which one was the man running for vice president. Tampon Tim Walz, who was part of a ticket that scored lower than the previous administration and probably was one of the most ineffective campaigners this country's ever seen. I mean, this is a guy who had it handed to him by J.D. Vance, who's about half of his age. This is a guy, Tim Walz, who in an era where education is one of the main priorities of the Democrats, and they are ingraining people, they are indoctrinating people in their universities. This is a guy that tried to shame J.D. Vance for going to Yale. He shamed J.D. Vance for lifting himself up by his bootstraps out of the Appalachians, out of the hillbilly elegy, and all the way to the Ivy League and right into the Senate, and boom, right there into the vice president's mansion at the Naval Observatory and the West Wing. And now we're supposed to listen to him about Donald Trump. Tim Walz telling anybody that Donald Trump, a billionaire real estate investor who just in the last few years has created a meme coin that made multimillionaires out of 1 million people, who has sold and produced various different products and product lines, a guy who has run for president, a lot of it self-funded, has been able to weather the storm of multiple different lawsuits. This guy doesn't know anything about business. He's bankrupted every business he's ever had. How many buildings have Tim Walz's name on them? How many buildings say Walz? I can count at least a dozen that say Trump. I don't know of any that say Walz. I don't even know of a single wall that says Walz, let alone an entire building. But the Democrats feel that this is their guy. That is great news for the Republicans leading into 2026 and 2028. But this whole tax on consumers thing, that's also a lie. This is what they're going to tell you. Donald Trump is creating tariffs or installing tariffs on countries that already tariff us, and he's doing it to get them to drop their tariffs, which reduce the price and cost of goods, and that in turn puts more money in Americans' pockets, but they're trying to tell you it's a tax on consumers.
And for someone who says that this money coming in is really a tax on consumers, what do you say?
I say a couple of things. One, we're seeing the CEO of Walmart is pushing back on his Chinese suppliers, and he is telling them they have to eat all the tariff increases. They're the largest retailer in America. I think 40 million Americans go into Walmart every week. We saw in Trump 1.0, prices didn't go up, and if we have that happening at the same time, we are able to use that income to provide President Trump's tax agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and making auto interest deductible for American cars. That's a home run for working class Americans.
I mean, it's like a win-win-win. This is a multi-tiered offensive that Donald Trump has to boost the American economy through the auto industry and other industries. First, you tariff all the countries bringing automobiles into the United States of America. Then what you do is you inspire people to buy American cars. And then when they take out a loan for that American car, you say, guess what? The interest on the loan payment for your American car, we're going to make that tax deductible as well. Everybody's going to be driving an American car. And yes, I know that Teslas are American cars, but you don't have to buy a Tesla. You can if you want. I'm sure Donald Trump would be thrilled. He owns one. I'm sure Elon Musk would be thrilled because, well, he makes them all. But it's not just on Teslas, it's on anything. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have savvy businessmen out there, savvy American companies who are saying, this is it, man. This is the new golden age for us. We've got to strike while the iron is hot. And they're going to do whatever they can do to inspire Americans to buy their stuff. Like, for example, I told you, Ford Motor Company, which just said, look what we got. Employee pricing for everybody.
Exactly right. For the next couple of months, we're going to offer our customers the same deal that our employees get. And as you say, that's worth thousands of dollars. You come into our store, you get employee pricing. This is kind of to call a little bit of a timeout. We've heard some uncertainty from our customers, and we want them to be assured that Ford, the most American auto company, is going to do right by them, as are our dealers. We make the most cars here. We employ the most. We export the most. And so we here at Ford, we're in a good position to address customers' concern and give them a really great deal on a great vehicle.
So this is going to really destroy a lot of foreign automakers. This is going to have them drop they're going to pressure their countries. I mean, look, if you're a Japanese automaker, if you're Toyota, or if you're Honda, or if you're one of these other companies that imports cars from abroad, if you're Hyundai's in Korea, I know that they're bringing factories here already. We heard about that. We heard about that big thing. European, the EU, they're going to have to deal with some of these issues too. They're going to have to push on their leaders to sit down at the table and work with President Donald Trump, because this is going to affect everybody. And now that Ford is offering employee pricing, forget it. I'd buy a Ford. I mean, I have a Lincoln, which is kind of like Ford. I wonder if this actually, I don't know if this is on Lincoln too. Maybe it's time for me to upgrade. But if they offer employee pricing on Lincolns, forget about it. I'm right there, because you know what? I didn't want to buy a luxury foreign vehicle. I wanted to buy a very nice, comfortable car for my entire family that was made in America. And my car, a Lincoln, was made in Kentucky, which, fun fact, is also where Abraham Lincoln was born. So my Lincoln was born in Kentucky, just like Abraham Lincoln. Win, win, win. But that's exactly what's happening. And it's hilarious to me to hear someone like Tim Walz, number one, speak, but also try to explain that Donald Trump doesn't know anything about business.
It's like Trump is stuck in the 80s. His music, his clothing, his thinking. He has been on this tariff thing forever, and every economist, conservative or liberal, will tell you they just simply don't work. We use them strategically, but he doesn't fundamentally understand how trade works. It goes back to what I continue to say. I think the biggest myth perpetuated on this country is that Donald Trump understands anything about business. He's bankrupt every single one he's been into, and now he's bankrupting this country. So I appreciate you talking about this. This is a tax on working people that we've not seen in any of our lifetimes, and it is going to have dramatic effect.
You know what's a tax on working people? Tim Walz's mouth. That's a tax. I feel taxed every time I have to listen to him. I thought the biggest myth in America was that Tim Walz is actually a dude. I didn't know it was that Donald Trump knows anything about business. Hey, speaking about people that know business, someone that knows a lot about business is our buddy Paul Stone from Colonial Metals Group. And Colonial Metals Group is offering a couple of cool things as well. They have a free gold guide. So if you're interested in investing in gold, if you've ever wanted to make your savings bulletproof, now is the time. And inside their free gold guide, they offer great information about protecting and growing your retirement savings with a gold IRA, information about offering a strong defense against de-dollarization and inflation, how to protect your assets and savings penalty-free, how to protect your financial future with IRS loopholes. All of this in their free gold guide. And for a limited time on qualifying accounts, Paul Stone and Colonial Metals Group are offering, get this, up to $7,500 in free bonus silver. And that's sent to your home, or they'll keep it in their vault, whichever one you want. But you got to claim your free gold guide to get any of it. The website address is freegoldguide.com/KAYE. Freegoldguide.com/K. Make sure you add the KAYE, my last name. That way you'll get to the page with me smiling I'm smiling. I'm so happy that you're there, and I'm so happy that you're going to get your free gold guide. There's a link in the description of this video, or you can just go to freegoldguide.com/KAYE to get yours today. Something else that's totally unbelievable, but also not at all believable, is that the Democrat National Committee, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, get this, they're suing Donald Trump. Why? Why, Mark Kaye, you might ask, are they suing Donald Trump? Why this time? What is it that what's their beef now with Donald Trump that they could be suing him? Get this, they're suing him because he's requiring, this is rich. They're suing him because Donald Trump signed an executive order to block non-citizens from voting. You may remember that, right? Well, they filed this lawsuit in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. And if there's anything we know about the District Court for the District of Columbia, they love liberal lawsuits and they love blocking Donald Trump's executive orders. Democratic National Committee, Democrat Governors Association, U.S. Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Donald Trump, the Executive Office of the President, and the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. They're suing because they want to stop Donald Trump's executive order that maintains that you must have ID in order to, that you cannot be an illegal and vote in any of these elections. The executive order that Donald Trump signed to secure election integrity just days ago. This is baffling to me that they don't want elections to be free and fair. This is baffling to me that they're actually filing a lawsuit to stop Donald Trump from protecting elections, which, I'm not saying that they rigged elections, but it seems to me like they definitely don't want secure elections. And if you don't want secure elections, to go so far as to bring the president of the United States to court, that is really weird. Hang on, let me pull this up real quick so I can read from it. Here we go. From Reuters. Oh, wait a minute. I can't go there because I have my ad blocker on. Let's go to Democracy Docket. Here, we'll go to Politico. Democrats sue Trump over his proposed sweeping overhaul of U.S. elections. Party leaders say no president has authority to change how elections are administered. Democrats are heading to court to challenge President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to impose federal control over how elections are run throughout the country. A suit filed Monday in federal court in Washington argues that Trump's March 25th order titled Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections is an unconstitutional attempt to wrestle authority over elections from the states and set new voting requirements such as proof of citizenship and changes to ballot deadline rules. Nearly the entire Democratic Party's fundraising and campaign apparatus joined the suit. That'll tell you something. As did Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, challenging what they called a power grab in a statement announcing their action. It's anti-American. And Democrats are using every tool at our disposal, including taking Trump to court to stop this legal overreach that undermines our democracy, they said. The legal action is an attempt to head off an effort to drastically change how elections are administered. Trump's order requires the Election Assistance Commission, an independent agency created in the wake of the 2000 presidential election, which was the George W. Bush, Al Gore, dimpled hanging Chad debacle, to add proof of citizenship to the National Voter Registration Form, which states are required to accept under federal law. The order also targets mail-in voting, asserting that federal law requires all states to reject ballots not received by Election Day, directing the Justice Department to take all necessary action to enforce the requirement. Another section of the order empowers DOJ, the Democrats' least favorite four-letter word, to review voter rolls for compliance with federal laws. The Democrats challenging the executive order assert that neither Trump nor any president has the authority to impose such sweeping changes. And so they're suing. They're suing to make it that so that states don't have to impose voter ID, proof of citizenship, ballots being obtained before Election Day. They don't want any of it. They don't want the voter rolls cleaned. And they are so petrified that all of that's going to happen that they're going to take Donald Trump to court to stop this order. The other big thing about this is the federal funding, because look, yes, the states constitutionally are there to administer elections. Yes, the states constitutionally are the ones who are in charge of running elections, but the states have also become addicted to federal funding. And if Donald Trump threatens their federal funding, they will buckle to the pressure. And that's their own fault. If they want to go without the federal funding, fine, they can do whatever they want. But when you become addicted, when you suckle at the teat of big government, you're going to move. If that cow gets up and moves somewhere, you're going to follow because you want that sweet, sweet nectar to continue to dribble. This is just getting gross. It's so wild and wacky what's going on out there with these Democrats. I just don't understand it. And the fact that any Republican out there, and again, I'm a big fan of Rand Paul. I've had him on my show a couple times. He's from Kentucky. Bourbon's from Kentucky. I didn't think he could be all that bad. Of course, Mitch McConnell's also from Kentucky. But it is wild how, and again, and I'm just not a fan of the Democrats always banding together and the Republicans never seeming to be able to. And when you throw this on top of the whole Anna Paulina Luna thing, which I think really backfired, I don't know that anybody really came out ahead of this proxy voting thing. Anna Paulina Luna, I know a lot of people lost a little bit of respect for her in this battle. A lot of people are annoyed that she brought this battle at this point in time. A lot of people are annoyed that she was able to finagle some Republicans, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it wasn't her. It was Speaker Johnson." Fine. I'm not a big fan of his either these days. But this whole battle in the House of Representatives over proxy voting for new moms is not the right battle at the right time when there's way more important stuff that we need to be doing. And I'm not saying that having babies isn't important. It is. But this battle could be, there are low points in the Congress. There are lulls, right? This is not the time. There's no lull now. We are not in a lull position. You've got, well, here, in fact, I'll show you. Let me pull up the House calendar. Here is the House of Representatives calendar. This is what people always, hold on. People always get annoyed when I pull this up because they're like, wait a minute, they're off how many days? Look at this. This is for 2025, the House calendar. Today is April the 3rd. The House adjourns today. They adjourned they're not even at work right now. This whole yellow week is not a yellow week at all because Anna Paulina Luna forced the vote on the rules. Mike Johnson thought he could win. He lost, so he had to abdicate. He had to gavel everybody out, and now everybody, I don't know, they're kicking it at home. Who knows what they're doing? Yesterday, they were all in the Rose Garden for this big ceremony. But you've got this week is a wash. Next week, they work 4 days. 4 days next week. And don't think that they're going to get a lot done in those 4 days. How do I know this? Because I'm going to be there for 2 of them. On the 7th, they're going to be, I guess, voting on maybe this rules package, which they need to put in place before they can do any business. That could take all day. So that's a wash because, fun fact, they don't schedule votes really early in the morning on Monday because a lot of people are traveling back. They don't come back on Sunday nights. Rest assured, if I'm in Congress or when I'm in Congress, I'm not going to fly back on Sunday night. There's football on. I'm going to fly back on Monday morning. I'll wake my butt up at 5, get to the airport, get on the first flight to DC. Why? Because they don't start till noon anyway. I'll go right to the office, do some work, go home, take a nap, come back the next day. But the 8th and the 9th, I'll be there, so I'll report live from the Congress. I'll tell you everything that's going on or not going on. They're going to have to jam in all of this legislature. Darrell Issa's bill about the judges, everything else. There's going to be massive debate going on. Eventually, probably on the 9th or the 10th, they're going to have to vote on this proxy bill, which we don't want because we don't want proxy voting. But I don't think they have the ability to thwart it at this point. Or maybe they're working on something else. Maybe they're wheeling and dealing as it is. But it seems like they messed that whole thing up. And then look, they're off till the 28th. They're off for so long. There's a whole, that's 10, let's see, 1, that's 9, that's 10, that's 11 days off. If you include weekends, they're gone for like 20 days, 18 days. Come next Thursday, they are out until Monday, the 28th of April. And that's for Easter, and I get it. Not spring break. Their spring break was in March. See this whole week they had off in March? That was spring break. In April, it's just 2 weeks off for Easter. It's 2 weeks for John Rutherford to come back home and not do a town hall meeting. Because that guy's petrified with fear of meeting any of his constituents. So that's what's going on. There's not a lot going on here. It's really kind of shocking. And so when you look at these kinds of things, it's really like there's another lull here. So when you look at June, for example, right? You could put this in, or July even. I would do it in July before the August recess. That's when I would vote on something like that. Although, you know what they do? They probably have some spending bill that they have to cram in there before everyone leaves for the entire month. You know, the more I look at this calendar, the more excited I am about becoming a congressman. Because I know people joke all the time. They work 85 days a year. They get months off at a time. They get a full-time salary. And then they gavel themselves out for like another week. And when they're there, what are they even really doing? I'm looking at this going, this is probably the best looking work calendar I've had since I was in school. I think even school kids go to school more than Congress is in session. Look at this. April. Okay, this is amazing. First of all, a full week off in January, a full week off in February, a full week off in March, 2 full weeks off in April, 1 full week off in May, a full week off in June. July, forget about it. You got 2 full weeks off in July, the whole month of August. And you think to yourself, well, if they're off the whole week of August, I mean, it's not even that. It's July. Look at this. They're off from July 24th to September 2nd. It's crazy. It's insanity. And then you're thinking, well, they're just going to work through till Christmas. No, they get a whole week off in September too. October, fine. They have to work in October. I'd have to work on my birthday. I'm okay with that. And then November, there's barely any work. And then December, Christmas. It's nutty, man. It is so crazy. It's wild to see this kind of stuff unfold in front of your eyes. And then when you see the kind of time wastage, this is why Americans are so angry. This is why Americans say Congress sucks. This is why Americans say these people in Washington, D.C. are petty. And yes, they are. And that's why we need different non-petty people. If I were there in Washington, I mean, again, you need to make sure that district by district, we're looking and we're making sure that the people we put in place are people that are serious about going there and doing the job, that are serious about not wasting time, and that are serious about changing America for the better, and not just changing their own lifestyles for the better, not just padding their own bank accounts and pocketbooks and getting cush jobs when they retire from Congress or going into that whole, what is it? What do they call it? What do they call that thing? What's the door? Rotating door? What do you call the turnstile? I forget it. But the rotating door of you go to Congress and you deal with all of the special interests and you get them what they want, and then when you leave, the revolving door. Thank you. You come out the revolving door and then boom, they hire you for millions of dollars, or they put you on a board. That's how this works. That's what people are doing there. And look, even it's not stopping. There's people who are going to Congress right now, and I know all they're focused on is how much money can they make? How much can they get from their votes? How much money can they squeeze out of their position of power? And then when they retire or they're booted out by the voters, which special interest group, which corporate board, which person that owes them is going to hire them? Again, not to do anything. You'll get an office, you'll get a salary, you'll get a pension, you'll get, use of the private jet, whatever. You'll get all that stuff for sitting on the board. You won't actually have to do anything. It's all payback for the work you already did when you were in Congress for 85 days a year. It's really a baffling system. Anyway, listen, this has been, it's been eye-opening. But listen, the tariffs are working. And no matter what the stock market says, no matter what the media says, just know this, that President Donald Trump, he is working for America and he's working to change everything. And look, things are already changing. Investments are already coming in. We talked about that. Donald Trump talked about it yesterday in the Rose Garden.
Here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs.
The tariffs, the election and the tariffs, that's what's happening. And prices are already coming down as a result of that, too.
And energy costs now are down. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years.
And then look what happened. It was the exact opposite. Massive inflation for 4 years. And now Donald Trump is working every single day to bring that on back. Listen, coming up here in just a minute, we're going to kick off our after party. If you're not a member of the Kayetriot Club, now's a great time to become a member of the Kayetriot Club. Just go to Kayetriots.com, join our locals community, and become a supporter. When you become a supporter, you get, so many great benefits. First of all, you get to join us for our exclusive after parties. Those are members only after parties, and we do them several times a week. We're going to do one here in just a few minutes, and it's more of the same and a lot of stuff you've never heard. It's a lot of, we talk about things we don't talk about on the show. Sometimes you watch me live tweet, which I know is exciting for some people. Kind of a little background on what goes on behind the scenes. Very exciting stuff. And we've got dozens and dozens of people that join us every single day. And you're welcome to come become one of them. Also, we have free stickers that you get as a member, a free sticker packet, which we'll send out to you, plus massive discounts, like 25% discounts on everything in the Mark Kaye shop, plus other great stuff too, as we announce it. So if you're not yet a member, please become a member. Go to Kayetriots.com, join our locals community, become a supporter, and you can be part of our next after party, which begins here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, share the dickens out of this, as the old folks would say. If you're on Facebook too, man, our Facebook is ramping up big time. Mark Zuckerberg apparently is a conservative again. So keep sharing on Facebook, keep liking, tell your friends and family about it, comment, set the notifications. If you're listening to the podcast page, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, because that way it's always just automatically delivered to your phone. You don't even have to ask for it. You just plug in your AirPods, or you plug it into your car, in your CarPlay, and boom, the podcast is right there ready for you. You can listen to it every single day. And we urge you to listen every single day, because every single day there's somebody coming after us. There's somebody attacking us. There's somebody up at our beeswax. There's somebody lying about us. And we need to make sure we're all on the same page. We need to make sure we're playing from the same rule book. We need to make sure we're following the same battle plan. And we need to make sure, again, that we're all informed, that we're all inspired, that we're all enlightened, and we're all armed to the teeth, because this fight rages on, and we will always fight to save the Republic. The after party begins in approximately 3 minutes.